I'm of course very honored to be able to give a lecture on strategy to CISCO. CISCO is a very well-known company, and I think you are the finest company America has so far produced, and that is not so high profile and maintain the right presence in the market. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by being very basic. I planned all this without knowing you, right? And of course in life the most precious thing is time. So since you are here with your time, I'd like to know, right, what questions before I start the lecture you want me to discuss and answer about strategy in relation to other war, in relation to China and all that. Right. So what I do is usually I invite questions first so that I can then try and adapt my presentation to go around the issues that concern you. Right. So can we start? Anybody have any questions about other war? Very simple questions. I'll just listen down. I won't promise answer all, but I will try my best during my as I go through the presentation to deal with the issues you raise. Yes.
Is it the right strategy to go, on head with the competition in front of customers, or be protective, or what is the right strategy in current scenarios, and especially in the technology piece?
Okay, right strategy, technology. Good, very good question, and very good question. I'll comment on that. Very good. Any other question? Yes.
When you have to a last-minute situation where you have very limited time and not enough information about your competitors' moves, you like to have more things, know what to do with that kind of thing.
Okay. Right. This is very, very, very good question too. Right. It's about having partial information. Right. And of course, partial is a matter of degree, 0% to 100%. So you're talking a situation where you have 0% information. What do you do? Right? You have 50%. Do you spend more time getting more information, or do you get less information? How do you action in what do you call right? It's a risk essentially, risk return question. Right? The degree of risk, information. Very good.
I got another one.
Yes.
Where the customer is 100%. You know the customer is not fair of yours. They totally shift towards the competitor. They were let's say, CISCO loyal customer, but then at the end, very late, and almost closing you find out that they changed the game and they become your competitor for your customer. They believe into your customer. They believe into your competitor.
The customer stealing by competitor, right? Would I put it that way? They steal away a customer, right? And the question of customer loyalty, right? Some of these questions, now I will be honest with some of these questions, right? I don't, Sun Tzu ideally maybe 10% of my publications, 90% is really on management. So things like this, I covered it under, I teach engineering student master's degree course on mind of customer. Right? In fact, I brought the CD in case I would have to deal with this sort of issue. Right? Very important. The whole game is different now, right? In the past, it used to be push. You supply, and you have a chain to supply that. No, now no more. Now you got to pull, right? Push and pull is different. So, like, this one I may have to deviate from to answer you fully on this. Right? This other war is written away that there is no customer. As far as the other war is concerned, the customer is the battleground. You got to know the ground so well. You must segment the market. 9 different type of ground, each ground different strategy. Right? So like what you've done, and this is what you've done correctly, you're trying to map India and China as one territory. Japan is outside the loop, Japan is not a developed country. Right? So strategy right in relation to ground. But I will give you that. A very good question. Very, very important question. Right? Customer loyalty. And I can tell you about all customers. There's only one thing about customers. They like 3 things. Right? Rene, I was in Rene, I was in Sweden, and Rene boss was telling me that, I'm not telling you, during the interview, right, I was in aeroplane, I read it, and Rene boss says that, actually airlines should fly customer for free, right? And how do you make money then? It's from the services. So they intend to convert the airline to, casino where they gamble, and they hope that from the gambling revenue it will be enough to pay for the airline. So please, the competition is very Microsoft realized that already. You're not going to, right? But that again is technology-related strategy question, right? Good. Any other question? Right.
Here, because I think it's saying that my enemy's enemy is my friend.
Yes.
Is that a valid strategy? It concerns me at times that we actually get into a relationship purely on that basis.
All right, now, right or wrong? Okay, let me write down the question. I'll take note of all these questions you've raised. This is very important to me. Right, so you're saying the philosophy that
My enemy's enemy.
okay, your enemy's enemy is
My friend.
my friend. Okay, now. This I'll quote Chinese history. The last Ming emperor says this. In Chinese, 我的敌人是我的恩人. Meaning to say that, right, my enemy's enemy is my benefactor, more than just friend. Because that means that if my enemy got an enemy that's beautiful, he commits resources. 恩人 meaning right. The problem with Sun Tzu's Art of War, let me explain, there are a lot of translations out of war, and yet, because the Chinese language is pictograph, right, it's pictograph. That's why it's so hard to understand Sun Tzu without knowing Chinese. Pictograph means it's a picture. The picture conveys a lot of meaning. Right? But it's a good question you raise. And that's our strategy, you should look into it. Right, good. Any more? I saw some hands been raised. Yes.
Is it always keeping, with this war spirit is the only way to survive?
Is it what? Sorry?
I mean, keeping always in the war spirit, right? It's the only way to survive?
Okay, right. Is war the only way? Right.
Let's be friends.
Let's be friends. Let's collaborate.
Okay, I was asked this question when I was in Sri Lanka last year. Right here in Boston, asked me to speak to Indian CEOs, the top CEOs, very rich Indian CEOs. And they are very concerned, right? They say that, why must we have war? Why can't we have peace? Why should peace be the only way? So I put that into a paper. I'll send that to you for you to read. That's a very good question. Is war the only way? And there is this topic has been, right, one that has been the basis of a best-selling book now. It's called Blue Ocean Strategy. Right, Blue Ocean Strategy. Meaning to say that, right, according to two professors from INSEAD, the way to do this is to don't go to Red Ocean, get out of Red Ocean, go to Blue Ocean. But I think that's a myth, personally. That's why in my strategy course that I'm doing, right, I discussed about purplish, that community is purple. It's not really red, it's not really blue, but it's purple. Mixture of the two. But the moment there is blue ocean, everybody rushes in. Right? So, and of course, easier said than done. You look at Sony. I mean, Sony, one of the companies I'm so proud of. I was at Kokase Sansei in Japan. For 6 months there, and I was, visiting a top Japanese company in the 80s. And you say, oh, Sony, it's very hard to beat this company. But Sony becomes Sony. Why? They can't produce any more new product. So this is the real fundamental problem. Can you sustain? Right, it's the three phases of strategy: the rise, sustenance, and then the fall. Right? How to sustain it? Right? And that is where deep thinking in strategy is necessary. Like the Hitler regime, right? Beginning when they first started to go, when Hitler first planned the strategy, it was like just like move. Europe was dominated, no problem. But he couldn't sustain it. Hitler couldn't sustain it. Right? And then, of course, the rise, sustaining, the fall. But very important question again, right? These are all key issues. These are covered issues. Any more? Yes.
I want to know if the techniques that we've discussed today can be applied to our daily life, saying, how can I get a raise with my boss?
Oh, no.
All of this not here.
And then Ika will be talking to you soon.
Pass that on. Don't worry, don't get it.
I mean, things like that, how to deal with situations. It's not necessarily competitive, but how to gain.
Good. Very good question. Now, I'll explain to you. Art of War has been used for all sorts of things. Among the book that will probably sell very well if I do work on it, because I'm honorary professor at St. Andrews, where they play golf. Right? It's Art of War being used for golf. Right? And golf and strategy is very closely related. So the technique is essentially applicable. But my focus here is not just doing Art of War, but really focusing it on the competitive situation that technology companies have to focus on. Right? But this is the second time CISCO's professor asked me about getting a raise. Last night somebody asked me the same question, but I'm not reveal who. Right? But I'm sure you're paid above market rate, right? No? Market rate. Okay, good. Next, any more questions? When it's fill up, I will not ask any more questions. Yes, Ms.
The question is, following on the stronghold, how can we attack the stronghold and event? I think the stronghold is, I guess the stronghold I'm talking about China, power is very strong in China. And is there a way that we can attack?
Yeah, okay, this is a very interesting question too. Right, a stronghold like China. Now, I will definitely tell you that I will start by, I think, rightly on updating. This talk was supposed to be in August, right? So this I'll talk, if I have to talk in March, I will say different thing. I'll focus different things, slightly different, right? This point is very important because you are so huge. CISCO is so huge. You are like a mini US company, right? And China and Huawei is the mini China. So inevitably, this is China-US conflict. Or what I saw in inverted commas, right, would spill over. So I will discuss that in a broad context. Very good question. How to attack strongholds? How to penetrate a market like China? Good. Any other questions? Please.
How do we break dark rapport?
Break?
Yes, if we're both using dark rapport against each other, what makes us different?
Okay, very, very good question. It's a very deep question. I've never been asked this question before, until I've done a seminar for a top CEO, where they're all datos, and all come with, they're all multimillionaires. And that question been raised. Right, now the fundamental point really is inside Sun Tzu Art of War. Sun Tzu tells you the most important fundamental point, and I will discuss that in my lecture. Good. Rest. Got it.
If our current competition, or one of them, has the art of war as part of their history,
Yes.
basically the Chinese that we're fighting against,
Yes.
some of us are foreigners here, and a large portion of our company is foreigners. Can we learn the techniques better to fight the people that are ingrained in their system?
Okay. Right. Ingrained. Right. Ingrained.
Cultural, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's like culture use.
Well, it's like they learn the techniques.
Good. Good. Very good point. I will try and cover that point in my delivery too. Right. The question of out of war thinking and why is, you see, in Europe, Europeans know far less about out of war. They mainly focus on crosswit, and the Prussian strategy, less so than out of war. In America, it is the eating, it's the hot thing. And I explain the background to why out of war became important and so forth. Good. Right. Last question maybe, so I can get going with the lecture proper.
Anybody has any questions?
Anyone? Any question at all? That troubles you, yes.
I guess, I think we've mentioned this before, but I'd like to pass it here. So, we have got, on the Western school of thought, we have got Porter's, Michael Porter's, the five Porters and the four corners.
Yeah.
How can we integrate both?
Okay.
Or is it
what I call MBA school, this MBA school of thinking. MBA school of strategy, right? In other words, all the Anshov, there are a lot of gurus in the, Prahalad and, right, the US MBA model. Okay, good. Then a question of integration.